Welcome to Women Entrepreneurs Radio. I'm your host, Deborah Bailey. And when I started this show in 2008, I was on a mission to promote women-owned businesses and help women succeed by providing resources and valuable tips from other women and men, small business owners. In each interview, my guests speak openly about their triumphs, the scary times, and tough decisions they had to make along the way. Women Entrepreneurs Radio is about showing women how to harness their natural strengths to achieve success on their own terms. Hi everyone. Welcome to Women Entrepreneurs Radio with your host, Deborah Bailey. I am so glad that you could join us today. And if you're listening to this on one of the podcast platforms, like Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you could certainly go to womenentrepreneursecrets.com. And there you will find a listing of the platforms where the show is available, in addition to posts of interest to women entrepreneurs. So there's a lot of good stuff on there. And you can also find links to download show guidelines and things like that if you're interested in being a guest. But as I said, you can always find out where else you can listen to the show. So I hope that you will do that. And if you are on Apple Podcasts, please make sure to scroll down and leave some feedback or give the show 5 stars. Things like that are really good for the show to be found by more listeners. So if you're a long-time listener, for sure, really appreciate it. If you could just take a moment to do that, that would be really great. And also, what you can do is stop by my website as well, thebaileycoach.com, and you can find out more about me and my books and things like that. So it's something else that you can check. So we're going to get started today with my guest. Sana Kibz is a Nigerian radio host, TV personality, fashion influencer, and commercial model living in New York City. Since moving to New York from Maryland in 2013, Sana has worked with many notable brands in the fashion and beauty industry, such as Estee Lauder, TJ Maxx, Nike, Maybelline, Glamour, BET, WeTV, and many others. She's also a lifestyle blogger, YouTuber, and certified digital marketing strategist with a focus on social media growth for small businesses. She's on a mission to fully live out her dreams while developing her own newfound faith in Christianity and inspiring women everywhere to go after their heart's desire, regardless of circumstances. Welcome to the show, Sana.
Hi, welcome. Whenever I hear someone introduce me with my bio, I'm just like, dang, I've done a lot. You never remember it in the moment, but like when I hear it back, I'm like, wow, that's me.
See, that's the thing about listening to someone talk about you and describe everything you've done. You really realize, as you said, what you've done. Mm-hmm. And the impact you've had, and I think that is fantastic because a lot of times we don't recognize that. Yes. We're going to get more into all the things that you're doing, but mm-hmm. I have seen from, looking over your bio is that at one time that you were homeless. And mm-hmm. how did that change your perceptions and shape who you are right now?
Well, let me first say thank you so much for having me on this podcast, and I truly appreciate the privilege to be able to talk to you and for your listeners to hear our conversation. When being homeless, you are trapped in a mind state of why me? You are wondering, out of all the people in the world, why did this become your circumstances? And one thing that kept me going while me and my family were homeless was that this is not my portion. And what I mean by that is in the Nigerian culture, when we say that something is not our portion, it means that this is not my journey. This is not my life story. This is just something that's happening in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And it has shaped me into the person I am today, because I truly believe if you can get through homelessness, which is not having a place to rest your head at night, being uncertain of how you're going to get food or where you're going to cook food, being uncertain of how you're going to be able to do day-to-day operations, then you can get through anything. And I believe that is also what helped me to move to New York City without an apartment or a home. I had to stay with a friend for a couple months on her couch. And I believe that if I didn't have that experience as a homeless person, then I would have been so uncomfortable being in an apartment with like 5 other people. But I was able to make the best out of the situation. And then eventually I moved into a different apartment, which shared a roommate situation with 4 other people, and then eventually moving into my own 1-bedroom apartment. Mm-hmm. So overall, being homeless has allowed me to feel like I can actually get through anything.
It's almost like you can think of the worst thing that can happen or the biggest fear that you have, and you face that, and you realize that in a sense gives you so much strength and power, because that thing that you've been afraid of, you've faced it, you've overcome it, and now what can you fear?
Yes.
Considering everything that's happened and a lot of people's financial situations, they may also be dreading that thing and needing to see that, yes, someone can come through that and come out in a certain way that can be, very inspiring to them.
Yes.
So going through that really helped you to realize what your purpose was.
When I was in the moment, no. And I would say that it didn't really occur to me to maybe, I'll probably say 2 or 3 years ago, because I was able to catapult my life forward. But it never really dawned on me that until, like I said, maybe 1 or 2 years ago, that everything that I've been able to accomplish, knowing where I've come from, is giving God the glory, and is also allowing me to testify to the goodness of God, and to also testify to basically being an overcomer. And I remember the first time I was asked to speak at a women's conference, I think it was last year in Brooklyn, last summer. And the lady asked me what was my becoming moment. It's coming from, the Michelle Obama book. What was my becoming moment? And for a split second, I was like, oh my gosh, I wasn't expecting this question. But then it quickly occurred to me that my becoming moment was being a homeless child, sleeping on the floor every day, wearing the same clothes to school every week, not knowing what I would eat that night, to now being on the radio, having been on television, having done major campaigns for places such as Maybelline and TJ Maxx. And I'm like, that is my becoming moment. And that is my story, that when I talk about that, somebody in the room is moved to know that, if this girl can get through that and be where she is today talking in front of us, and I've never gone through that, then of course I can do it too. So I believe that was truly what made me believe that maybe my passion is for me to use my story to push other people forward.
That's very powerful. So speaking of that, what impact do you feel that you want to leave on those people who listen to you and see you?
Whenever someone asks me about my past or they interview me, I'm not just responding in a way that it's just me answering their question. I'm still in my own little way. I'm sharing a story that I hope even the person who's asking me the question walks away with some type of understanding that this girl is saying that if she can get through something like this, so can I. And so anyone who's listening to me, whether it be an interview, whether it be on YouTube, whether it be my IG or my Facebook, I believe that I try my best to just push into anyone that resilience and prayer is what has pushed me to many levels in life. And I still believe that I have a long ways to go to get to exactly where I feel like I want to be. But to know that there was a time in my life that I'm experiencing right now, if you would have told me that this is what your future holds in 20 years, I would tell the person that they are telling me a fairy tale, or they're telling me something that I could never imagine. But now that I'm here looking back, I wish I could have told that girl that you believe and know that you will get through this. And I honestly, like, even for me to say that now, I believe that I did have that belief, and that's why I'm here now. So if anyone who is listening, I just want them to understand and just know that resilience and your strength within yourself to know that you deserve better and that you can turn your rags into riches is what I truly hope that people take when they hear my story.
That is very important for you to share, because as you know, you're saying looking back on yourself as a child, and you know a lot of times people are going through something, and in that moment it feels like there is no better future. There is nothing better. In that moment they're just crushed and they don't see possibilities. It shows that you can come through what you're going through, and it gives other people hope. You know, with everything you've got going on now, which is a lot, how do you manage all of that?
Well, to me, I've always been a hustler. I've always been a go-getter. I've always been super ambitious. Anyone who, if you ask anyone that I know, they will say that I've always done 17 things at once. And it's because I truly believe that whatever you have interest in, you shouldn't limit yourself by your circumstances or your abilities. If you really want to know how to do something, go on Google, search how to do something and learn about it, research it, be so engulfed in it that in 17 hours, you know how to do what it is that you're trying to do. And I believe that with me, I have always believed that if I can think about it, and if I can put pen to paper, then I can create actionable steps to achieve it. And so how I stay organized with all of these things that I'm doing is to make sure that I utilize my calendar, because I can be very forgetful sometimes. But I utilize my calendar. I do not play about my phone calendar. Every single thing that I have to do, whether it's a phone call, whether it's a meeting, whether it's don't forget to pick this up from the store, I put it into my phone and I put an alarm on. And then on top of that, I also have a Google Doc that I sometimes write down notes of things that I wish to remember. So that is how I'm able to balance it all. I truly believe that I'm also naturally a hustler at heart, because when you've gone through what I've been through, you never want to go there again. So you try your best to just do as much as you can. And some people will say, well, if you do so many things, you'll never be a master at it. But I also believe that if you challenge yourself enough and know it to a good degree, you can be the top person in any arena or level of something that you want to be in. So never limit yourself.
Right. And it's kind of funny sometimes how a lot of times we think other people know so much, or they know as much as we do, they know more, and then you find out they don't know much.
A lot of people are faking it till they make it. And even when they make it, they're still faking it. So yes, that's very true.
That's true. So, don't underestimate what you know.
Because it's very easy to think that you're not the smartest, or you don't know as much as the next person. Yeah. But then when they put you two in a room and tell you both to do the same thing, you're like, how did I finish it so fast? Or how did I come up with this? And you don't even have probably the license or the certificate or the degree that the person next to you has. And I believe that when you have a natural knack for something and it's within you, I think once you do the research and you at least understand the foundation of what you're trying to do, your natural abilities and your natural talents, if it's for you, will start to shine through. That's what I always believed.
That's true, because a lot of times people aren't doing that thing that they have that real affinity for. They may be forcing something else to fit, or society told them they have to do this other thing. Yep. And then this thing that they really are lined up with is not the thing they're doing, but maybe one day they finally line up with it, and then they're probably shocked.
Like, oh my gosh, if I would have just known or tried this sooner.
Right. And there's a lot of, as we know, there's a lot of people like that who end up being very unhappy because they're not following their path. And that's the thing that I think we have to wake up from, and just realize that that's so important. to your experience in this world. So
Yeah.
how would you say your heritage and culture has influenced you?
Well, first and foremost, being Nigerian, if you know a Nigerian or if anyone's listening knows a Nigerian, there's stigmas about Nigerians that I won't discuss, but if you know a good Nigerian, then you know that our worth ethic and our values as a culture has been instilled in us since we were babies growing up. And being very serious about education is one thing that Nigerian parents do not play with. And being a hard worker is something that Nigerian parents do not play with. And so we're told that we have to, if you, like, you know how some parents, you get a B, they'll be like, oh, great, you got a B. A Nigerian parent would be like, a B? No, go back and get an A. No, don't do here. Like, and then as a kid, you're like, wait, but these are still good. But you're just like, no, do you want to be just barely making it, or do you want to be the best? And so that has been instilled in us since we were a kid. And then also the tradition and the heritage and the values of like respecting your elders. Like, you know, some cultures like Yoruba, you have to kneel down for your parents and your elders and things like that. So just that discipline and that training really pours into who you become. And so I truly believe that all of that growing up has made me work so hard and feel as though I can balance so many things because I know how serious to take it at certain times. So like, I truly believe that being raised in a culture that you have to have strong work ethic, you have to be educated, you have to try to be at the top of your class has been a part of my growth in business and as an entrepreneur, because every day I focus on how can I make myself better, whether it's reading something, watching a webinar, how can I create better things, whether that's taking a training on creating better graphics or Photoshop and, you know, doing a radio hosting and things like that. So I believe that my culture has played a great part because it's allowed me to be disciplined in my work ethic, but also it has allowed me to take everything that I'm doing and try my best to be at the top of it.
And that's what you do. You know, you take what you have, as they say, take what you have, make what you want out of it. So that is what we have to look at and just try to put other negative things out of our minds, because there's always someone who's going to try to drag you for some reason.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
Whatever you do, they're going to be that person. So the energy you put into that, you could be putting into something else.
Yes.
To really grow you and do what you want to do on your path. So why don't you tell us about Awaken Jewelry?
Awaken Jewelry. Okay. So I've always wanted to have an e-com store. I used to be a women's wear fashion designer when I used to live in Washington, D.C., right before I moved to New York City. And I had an online boutique, but times were different then. I didn't have the marketing skills. I didn't really know how to upkeep a store. I was transitioning from one state to another. So I let the dream of having an e-com store die. But then after, you know, COVID-19 kind of just had everyone at a standstill, I figured, you know what, now I actually have a little bit more time to take on more things. So I, you know, started to think, what is it that I really want to do? What is it that I would love to get back into? And the e-com store came back to me. And this time I said, okay, well, I don't want a women's wear design. I don't want a women's wear boutique because one, I have clients like that. So I have a non-compete. So that's when I was like, you know what, let me mix a bit of my e-com desires with the aesthetic and the appeal that I like in certain jewelry. But instead of going for jewelry that costs $200 a piece, let me find jewels that are in a specific market. And that is the budget-friendly fashionista, because that is what I am. So I did some research. I curated artistic and conscious jewelry, and I launched Awaken Jewelry last week, and it is doing okay. So I'm super happy about that. But yeah, it's a new baby, but it's something that I'm really happy about.
That's wonderful. And why not, I mean, e-commerce and digital, I mean, we're seeing how important that is.
Yeah. Okay, yes, 100%.
And a lot of people really were caught by surprise because they are not familiar with online and doing all these things a lot of people have been doing for years now.
Yes.
It's not new.
It's not at all. But some people were like, what do you mean? What's the Zoom?
I know.
Purchasing online? What do you mean? I had to get tissue paper online. Like it was just a smack in the face for so many people.
Yes. That was pretty interesting to me because I again, you think, oh, everybody knows, but then you find out they don't know.
And that's the thing. That's exactly what I always say. I think that everybody knows what I know. And I don't know why that I feel like I don't know. I just believe that everyone just has a lot of information because we're all on the same platforms. But then when I start to realize and talk to more people, I'm like, wait, I know a lot more things than the average person when it comes to this specific, field or study and I'm like, I'm fascinated by it. So to me, it actually drives me to want to know more and want to actually start being the best at what it is that I'm doing. And so that's why I said, you know what? I've always been into fashion. I've always been into beauty. I've always been into aesthetics. I've always been into e-com and digital marketing. Why not do it for myself now that I have the time? And so that's why I started Awaken Jewelry.
That's perfect too, because if you have the knowledge, you know what to do. You're ahead of the game of the people who now are still trying to figure it out and what should they do and not knowing if they should move forward or should they, pivot became the big word. Should you pivot to something else because they're still trying to understand it.
Exactly.
So so you're anybody who has this knowledge right now is
it's best to use it. It's best time.
You're in a good space.
It's best time to use it for sure.
Oh, for sure. You're right where you need to be, So I think it's really showing that everybody wasn't really on the same page as much as we may have thought so. Once, the online world really started exploding. Yeah. And, you're hosting Afro Flava radio?
Yes.
So what is that about?
Okay. So I told you guys I had a whole bunch of hustles, so don't be alarmed or shocked. So I am the co-host of the first afrobeats-themed radio show in New York City and the second in all of the United States, where we play all of the hottest new and old African jams from African superstars in Nigeria, Ghana, Sierra Leone, Cameroon, wherever they are. So, and the show was hosted on 107.5 WBLS in New York City, and they are the top 10 urban station in America, and that's number 1 for R&B in New York City.
Yes. I used to listen to that station. It's been around for quite some time.
Over 45 years.
Yeah. It's definitely a classic station. So that's really fantastic because again, online you start to connect. You can connect with the entire world with cultures and everything. You don't have the boundaries and things to stop you from finding out what's going on somewhere else right now.
Yes.
And really connecting to that. So that sounds really exciting. It's like you've really got your hands into everything.
I mean, look, the only thing that I don't do is play an instrument or sing. That is the only thing. Anything music,
well, I guess if you wanted to, you would sing.
Listen, I tell myself all the time, if I knew how to sing, it would be trouble. I would be singing everything.
So you can see if maybe you want to check that out next, or
oh my goodness, I've looked at singing lessons, but my boyfriend is just like, no, it's just this one is just not, no. This one ain't for you. The rest, good job. This one, we're gonna put it on pause. So.
Right? Like you don't have to do everything.
You don't gotta do everything.
Yeah, there's a point where you realize, okay.
Yeah, and I'm like, ugh, the one thing I would love to do.
Right? It's always that thing. You do 50 things. It was always that one thing.
Yeah, one thing. You wish you could do this. It's like, nope, no ability, no talent, no nothing.
Oh my God. Yeah, I think that's the thing. You've always want to do the next thing and learn the next
Mm-hmm.
thing. That's really a part of it. So, since you're out here and you're doing all these different things, and considering the times that we are in right now, what are some of your thoughts on what's going on with the activism for racial injustice right now?
Well, I truly believe that we're finally waking up. And what I mean by that is due to the fact that we are actively in a lockdown and a pandemic, people have their eyes on social media, on the news. So once that situation happened to George Floyd, rest in peace, I believe that it really shined light on the injustices of just America and as a whole. And I love the fact that people are taking a stance, whether it be social media, whether it be fundraisers, whether it be protests, because it shows America that Black people are upset and that it's no longer acceptable or fair how we're being treated.
Mm-hmm.
And so I love every bit of it. I love all the Black Lives Matters murals. I love the protests. Now, I'm not really a fan of the riots, but I understand why people are angry. Mm-hmm. So cause let's just be very honest. In this country, what really moves the white man usually is when you mess with their green dollars. Mm-hmm. And so when you're doing riots in certain places, people are really taking more notice of that than if you were just doing a peaceful protest up the block. Mm-hmm. So I truly believe that this is a time where we're shining the light in the dark places of America, and it's a beautiful thing to see. And I really truly hope that we don't revert, because we have reverted under, a certain presidency. Mm-hmm. So I truly believe that if we continue with this momentum and pushing forward, there will be a change that happens for African Americans in this country.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's very true. I think because you can't hold all of that in but for so long, mm-hmm. and it's going to explode. And mm-hmm. a lot of that, of course, happened in the 60s and 70s. And, there's different strategies that people use for protest. And I think a lot of people, or maybe the media to some degree, tries to whitewash what Dr. King and the others did. Yeah. And not see that it was a strategy that they employed because of what they were dealing with at that time. They put that together and they worked on it. It wasn't just something, let's just walk out here and get hit with, a stick.
Yeah.
I have a dog bite me. There was a strategy that they planned because they had a goal and objective. And so once you understand that, then you see, okay, I know what they were trying to achieve, and this person's trying to push it a little further. And, overall, a lot of systems find ways to heal itself. You push at it and it finds a way to adjust. Mm-hmm. And as you said, we have to keep pushing in the way that we do, whichever way that is, because it is going to try to heal itself. It is going to try to pull back.
Yes.
That's the nature. It's been doing it for how long? So we all have to be mindful of that and understand it's easy to be complacent once things settle down to a point.
Yeah.
And you could feel like, I'm kind of exhausted, and you kind of,
we can't.
Right.
We can't get exhausted. We can't. Because I'm telling you, the moment that we do, they're going to be like, that's what they always do. They yell, they make noise, and they go right back to normal. Exactly. Like, no, we have to keep our foot on the gas. And
that's definitely what I think what happens, because there's a point where, people are just burned completely out, and that's what systems kind of depend on. But seeing things around the world and seeing it's like caught fire around the world and highlighted different things in other areas made you realize that there was something different going on and that other people were picking up on it and they had something to say about it. And also, I think as you mentioned with the pandemic also added to that has added to this whole thing as well. People maybe being in lockdown, the fear, the anxiety, losing people. Many people are continuing to lose people, and the feelings around that, the feelings around the current administration. I mean, it's all of it together that's boiling and bubbling, and which I'm sure has led to a lot of what's going on now. But you're right, you can't be complacent. You can't sleep on it. You really have to be mindful of what you want, and as a community, which is what people really have to kind of shift their focus on.
Yes.
Not just for us, but people come after. That's
100%.
Yeah. That's the key to it.
Because racism is not, you're not born racist.
Right.
You're taught how to be racist.
Right.
So I hope that the new generation of people who are growing up and seeing for themselves the hurt and the pain and how backwards this country is, I hope that they teach their children to love and to have unity so that we can grow and weed out the racist and weed out because racism and slavery is not like a billion years old. It was in the 50s, it was like the segregation, all that stuff was still, people are alive that used to segregate people.
Exactly.
So once we weed those people out, I'm not saying I'm not trying to say anything bad about anyone's like leaving the earth, but eventually the progression of life, people start to pass away. And I hope that the new generation that is being brought up teaches their children to love and to not see color. And that's the only way to change this country.
What I'd like you to do right now is please share with everyone where they can find out more about you.
Yes, please connect and reach out to me. You can find me on all of my social media at Sana Kibz. That's at SanaKibz. Also, I have a lifestyle blog, sanakibz.com. And check out my jewelry, Awaken Jewelry, and it's AWKN jewelry.com.
And you've got your YouTube, but you've got...
Yes. I got YouTube, I got Instagram, I got Pinterest, I got Facebook. Choose what you want.
You got it all covered, okay?
Yes. Choose what you want. Choose the platform for you.
Oh, wow. I used to be a computer programmer, and they would always say, oh, well, with technology, everything's going to be so much easier.
Yep. Goodness gracious. It's like 1,700 platforms now.
I know.
A new one comes out every other day like, oh, what is that one?
Right?
Are we about to get on that one now? Too many to keep up with.
It's not easier.
It's not. It is not. Oh my goodness. The passwords, the logins, oh my goodness.
There's always something else you want to find out about or get on, or should you be on it, just in case.
Yeah, just in case it blow up. That you are among.
So that's the thing, with technology. It's good stuff, but, you really have to, manage it. So talking about, social justice and everything going on with that. And of course, with the pandemic, have you felt that there's a lot of anxiety and fear around people that you've interacted with, and how do you feel that is really affecting?
Well, but I would say it's like a mix. Some people are up to their wits' end. They're bored. They're tired. They're exhausted. They are ready for this to be over. Mm-hmm. And then there are some people that this time period has worked for their good. Mm-hmm. They finally got a time to be with their families. They finally got time to not have that rushy, New York lifestyle that you have to be on the train at this time and be surrounded by a million people and be pushed and be shoved and the pollution. And so like they're basking in this time period where they can just be at home and relax and just do everything from the computer. Like I have one friend that she begged her boss to work from home because she just felt like she was so exhausted from the commute of going in to work, but she didn't want to leave the job. Mm-hmm. And the guy said, no, of course you can't work from home. But then Corona came and everyone has to work from home. Mm. And she's like, yes, like I got what I wanted and I still have a job, and so now that boss clearly is seeing that people can actually work from home. So there's going to be a lot of businesses that even when this is over, they're going to say, you know what, my employees kept up with their numbers, so they can still work from home if they want to, or they're going to have maybe a 50-50 split. So I believe that is like the positive side. And on the negative side is just people just feeling over it, feeling like I call it dry, where it's just like you haven't done makeup, hair, your nails are brittle, you're just not upkeeping yourself, you haven't gotten a haircut in 1,700 days. It's just like, you know, that in the mix of just like not knowing what the future holds and just being anxious and not knowing if this is ever actually going to be over. So like that is like the downside of it. But to my advice to anyone is my life quote, which is bloom where you are planted. So wherever you are in this world, in that moment, that is where you are supposed to be, regardless of how you may feel. That is where you are that's where you are right now. So I believe that take the time to do what you can, whether it's learn a lesson, whether it's, you know, upkeep with your skincare, whether it's putting more time into children or your spouse, or, you know, finally learn about how to create a foundation or whatever. This is a time period where everyone, if they want to, can bloom where they are planted.
Yeah, I can understand your friend's feeling about wanting to get rid of that commute, because I had one of those awful commutes at one time myself, and it's so draining. It takes so much out of you.
If anyone has not been to New York and New Jersey, you don't get it.
It's so, oh my God, hours, and it just takes so much.
Home and you're just so drained, and like by the time you finally relax, it's like, oh, gotta go to sleep to do it all over again. Oh my gosh. If there's anything that I don't miss, it's that can go and never return. To be honest.
Yeah, I would say, are we doing this?
Yes. The time, all these sad faces on the train, like no one's up, why am I here? Gosh, I don't miss it.
Yeah, it's not a good experience in anything. I'm hoping a lot of these companies wake up and realize, oh, okay, so we don't have to do this.
Yeah, like, don't gotta come in every day at 9:00 in the morning,
right?
You know, surrounded by a million energies. You actually don't. You can stay home. You can, you know, as long as you have Wi-Fi, good internet, you take our calls, you can actually stay home. Like, that's what I believe comes out as, you know, Twitter. The CEO of Twitter said that it's work from home now. It's no longer coming into the office, because they've realized that, well, not everyone, but most companies are realizing that as long as the work ethic doesn't change and the numbers are still there, people can work from home.
Yes, I totally agree. So a lot of times you end up working more when you're at home.
Because they know that you're not commuting. They know that you're not. So they like do all these 1,700 things. Exactly. I don't know why I can't say 1,700, but it just sounds like a big number. do all these things because you got time.
Right.
It's like, I have to feed a kid, I gotta make dinner, I gotta take a shower. But
it's true, because you don't have that cutoff when you would leave work, and now you're there. So you do end up putting in more time. So, you know, I'm sure a lot of those people are saying, we can get more out of these people. So, you know, it's going to really reshape a lot of things, I think.
I completely agree.
Yeah, that we're definitely going to see going forward, that we may not even really see the impact yet. So, Sana, this has been such a fantastic conversation.
Thank you.
And, you know, it's gone by so quickly. I was just like, wow, I thought we could start talking. So, you know, I want to ask, you know, what is your hope for others right now? You know, what would you like them to really think about or do for themselves? Or, you know, what is some advice that you would give to listeners?
I would say for anyone listening, this is a time period where it's so uncertain. We do not know what the future holds. We do not know when the vaccine is coming out or when these lockdowns will be lifted. But what I can say is, if you are someone who has had a dream to do anything. This is the time to work on it. We would never probably get a time like this where everyone is home, and it's okay to be at home. You won't lose your job if you stay home. So use this time to learn more about yourself, learn more about your desires, your passions, your purpose, and make sure that this time period is not just you chilling every single day. Because yes, you can do that. But try to make this time the best time of your life when it comes to pushing yourself to the next level. And so that is my advice for anyone. And if you have fear, then your faith is not strong enough. So get into prayer and get into the word.
That's it right there. As I was saying before we started, I was going to ask for final thoughts, but I guess unless you have something else you have to add.
Yeah. I'm about to say, I said everything there.
That's what I just want to make sure. So, Sana, thank you so much for joining me again. This has been such a wonderful conversation.
Thank you so much for having me, and I can't wait to see how you flourish during this COVID-19.
Well, yeah, I feel the same way.
Like, I'm working on it.
Right? Just taking a day at a time here.
Mm-hmm.
Day at a time. Not trying to look at my hair in the mirror. But
when I heard this was the audio, I said, thank God.
Believe me, it's like, ooh.
Yeah, it's like, ooh, where's the comb again?
Right? Yeah, once they start coming out, it's going to be very interesting.
Actually, I can be a beast, and I love it.
Everybody's going to be looking kind of hairy, so it's great. It's going to be okay. Oh my gosh, so everybody, yes, I know you've enjoyed this conversation. Please share it on social media. Please certainly check out what Sana's doing. Check out her jewelry and all the different social media that she has, and then those will be in the show notes. So I really hope that you will do that and take all of her wonderful advice. So once again, everyone, it's Women Entrepreneurs Radio with your host, Deborah Bailey. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you again next time. Bye-bye. Thanks for joining us. You can also join in the conversation on Facebook.com/Women Entrepreneurs and on the website, WomenEntrepreneursSecrets.com. And don't forget to listen in on dbcoach.podomatic.com and on iTunes.